I was the kid. I was writing games when I was, 12, whatever. And the other kids in the block would say,
Yeah. I'm in Skyrim looking for the Derkeethus. I'm trying to find my own thesis. Someone's always awesome. Give you what you need and meeting up with some tree heads. Oops, that was in Fallout 3.
What kind of mess is this? That intro is so awful I can't help but think they were either blind, deaf, or both making that. What kind of decision making and planning went into that production? It wasn't enough stealing a song from Young Scrolls and then making a garbage rap over it, but then under it you used an outdated intro from the 2010s. Really? How could you make an intro more worse than this? This doesn't cover any of the material you will be going over in this video. Your dad must be a prophet, because I would leave you too. This song was so bad that even the credits disappeared after you said the first word. You might as well have just gave up while making this abomination. You would be more productive grinding for 2 million XP in RuneScape than creating this. This needs to be recorded in a dead language next time so I can avoid having to watch any of this garbage.
Yo, that intro sucks. Let's just ignore everything that happened and get to the content. Alright, we doing this. We back and in action. Here's part 2 of the Ethos series. Joining me is Derkeethus, and I compiled some scripts on who to choose as a friend and who to avoid. Think of this video as more of like a pseudo audiobook. That's just the style I'm going for. First is the introduction with the hardest hitting verses I found regarding this topic. This is just to get you warmed up for the type of material I'm going to cover. This stuff is gonna be in the revised version, occasionally easy to read, and a bonus version, and KJVA for C-Rock exclusively. I want you to pay attention to how much of this material you already know without even reading these books. That's the law placed in your heart. I'm not going to be reading the chapter and verse numbers. You could just Alt-tab or whatever and check them out yourself. I'm just going to keep going, and occasionally I may have to say it to tell you when I'm doing a translation change. Go into the presence of a foolish man, and thou shalt not perceive in him the lips of knowledge. In order to take this verse seriously, you're going to have to seek the truth. A lot of people right now are living idly or for useless endeavors. Why should I talk to a fool? What can they give me? Wisdom is too high for a fool. He openeth not his mouth in the gate. These people can't understand wisdom, and they are unable to speak appropriately in public. I recognize that in some of my old friends, where they be like, yeah, which by the way is saying the Lord's name in vain, or, oh, look at that fine specimen right over there, like she's an isotope or something. Or sometimes I hear them go as far as to defend pedophilia or something else ridiculous, all loud. These are the conversations you shouldn't contribute to. You can tell someone by how they act. Be not thou envious against evil men, neither desire to be with them. For their heart studieth oppression, and their lips talk of mischief. While they may not necessarily be considered evil, they do preach mischief. It's important to choose a close circle over a large number of people to rely on. He that maketh many friends doeth it to his own destruction, but there is a friend that sticketh closer than a brother. You can't trust everyone. The more spiders you got in your house, the more webs you got to deal with. Yeah, you won't have a fly problem anymore, but you could deal with that yourself if you really needed to. You should strive to have actual friends who may not be perfect, but actually care about your housekeeping and know their place. Yes, I just compared spiders to friends. Come on, fight me. Yep, do it. It's not ideal to put spiders in your room, but if you trust it enough, you can do anything you want. This parable may be too deep for some of y'all, I'm gonna be honest. The fear of the Lord tendeth to life, and he that hath it shall abide satisfied, and shall not be visited with evil. And this ties into wise words not computing with stupid people. You can tell by how they respond. You can say some real sage advice, but it's up to them on how they're going to follow through with that. You can test them to see how they handle that. And yes, it's important to test people before trusting them. The easiest possible way to tell if someone is more wise is by if they have experience. Old people have plenty of that. Imagine the kinds of things a tree has seen in its life. All that history, right? Now imagine if that tree moved around and told others about what it's seen. That's who old people are. Well, I have come across some foolish old people, the kind that C-Rock describes in certain parts. Even they had plenty of stories with sound messages despite the elderly's disposition. Stand in the multitude of the elders, and cleave unto him that is wise. Be willing to hear every godly discourse, and let not the parable of understanding escape thee. This is important. After I read this and old people started telling me stuff, I really listened, and I really remember their stuff. And it still sticks to me, but to be more clear, translated to English, it reads, be around people who know the right answers, and remember what they say. When I would be in these advanced classes in school, I always strive to make friends with the smart kids, so their intelligence seeps onto me. I'd say that strategy worked pretty well, praise God. If life was a test, it wouldn't make sense for me to sit around the dumb kids who just enrolled. I'd actually rather sit with the teachers. Not that I did, but more so people who understood the test. Bring not every man into thine house, for the deceitful man hath many trains. Like as a partridge taken and kept in a cage, so is the heart of the proud, and like as a spy watcheth he for thy fall. For he lieth in wait and turneth good into evil, and in things worthy praise will lay blame upon thee. Of a spark of fire a heap of coals is kindled, and a sinful man layeth wait for blood. Take heed of a mischievous man, for he worketh wickedness, lest he bring upon thee a perpetual blot. Receive a stranger into thine house, and he will disturb thee, and turn thee out of thine own. There's that house again. I'm telling you, gotta put people to the test. I can say for myself, some people are good for some things, but life isn't so black and white. It's just a matter of when I see this person, this is the best thing I can get from them. Not in the any perverted sense or anything, but more of like I like this part about them and I can hold them up to that. For example, I have friends who I play games with, and I have a friend who I do all my theology stuff with. Maybe they could merge, but that's not likely. The people I play with are not wicked or evil at all. We have, chill sessions and get business done. But if you're spending lots of time consistently with someone who adds nothing to your life, maybe it's best to find an out, but do it in honesty. From my personal experience, the people who wasted loads of my time left me after I devoted myself to Christ. I don't know what it was. It's just, we didn't even end off on a bad foot. It just ended. Like, I changed my life and then they just stopped calling me. I don't know what happened, but cool. Fine with that. Forsake not an old friend, for the new is not comparable to him. A new friend is as new wine. When it is old, thou shalt drink it with pleasure. Now, I can go on about qualities in their life and describe the Bible telling you to avoid those, like in Proverbs 22:10 saying, cast out the scorner, and contention shall go out. Yea, strife and ignominy shall cease. But before I start the rundown, I'm going to preface with repeating myself. Everyone is in different situations, and everyone has their flaws. And most important thing to do is to pray to God for answers. And if they want to stick around with you, then maybe you should keep that relationship without engaging in vain and even immoral conversations. It is written in Matthew 12:36, and I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. So be careful not to fall into that trap. And if you can't help yourself, then it is best to distance yourself for the sake of your own eternal life. Just in case you become complacent, here's a verse to hopefully, with the help of your own Holy Spirit, convict you to really put people to the test based off of their character. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduces them. Notice how it says them, as in both of them. You have so much potential, but what you sink your time into determines what level in life you're gonna fall at. And for most people, it's really hard to change them because a lot of them think they're always correct. And a person flaunting that idea has a toxic spirit on them they have to get off. Every way of man is right in his own eyes, but the Lord weigheth the hearts. Sometimes there's a lost cause. Also in Matthew, we can read in chapter 18, verse 18, verily I say unto you, what things soever ye shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and what things soever ye shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. I don't really understand this yet, but if that means I get to bring Five Nights at Freddy's Self Wanted in there, I'm in the bag. You see me, buckets, know what I'm saying? But it's best to think whatever you're holding on to is going to be taken with you after you die. So really consider what you're willing to keep and let go. All right, Now onto some of these verses that talk about who you should avoid. Sometimes it outwardly says, avoid people who do whatever, blank. Again, this is all in the Bible. So, just saying, I'm the messenger. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the wicked, nor standeth in the way of sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. I have not sat with vain persons, neither will I go in with dissemblers. I hate the congregation of evildoers, and will not sit with the wicked. Walk with wise men, and thou shalt be wise. But the companion of fools shall smart for it. Evil pursueth sinners, but the righteous shall be recompassed with good. The tongue of the wise uttereth knowledge aright, but the mouth of fools poureth out folly. The eyes of the Lord are in every place, keeping watch upon the evil and the good. The Lord is far from wicked, but he heareth the prayer of the righteous. An ungodly man plots evil, and his lips are like a burning fire. A perverse man causes fighting, and a whisperer separates chief friends. This next quote is going to be read in the easy-to-read version, because I can't stand the Old English diction. It is better to have nothing but a dry piece of bread to eat in peace than a whole house full of food with everyone arguing. It is better to meet a bear robbed of her cubs than a fool who is busy doing foolish things. And now we're going back to normal in the Revised Version. He loveth transgression that loveth strife. He that raiseth high his gate seeketh destruction. Also to punish the righteous is not good, nor to smite the noble for their uprightness. The foolishness of man subverteth his way, and his heart fretteth against the Lord. Basically saying, fools get all confused at why they're ruining their own life and then blame God for that. I hear that a lot. They're like, oh, you're just in that position because you're just lucky. You're just lucky. Yeah, keep crying. Wealth addeth many friends, but the poor is separated from his friend. Judgments are prepared for scorners, and stripes for the back of fools. Wine is a mocker, strong drink a brawler, and whosoever erreth thereby is not wise. Can't lose that fight with that wine. Y'all already know plenty about that though. And to throw a curveball in, here's the genz.bible, Proverbs 26. So like everyone out here bragging about how good they are, but finding a truly loyal and trustworthy person, rare. Not saying that, man. Hashtag real talk, hashtag rare gems. This is a stupid version. Send me back to revised, please. He that goeth about as a talebearer revealeth secrets. Therefore meddle not with him that openeth wide his lips. A talebearer nowadays is called a drama queen. So don't affiliate yourself with nosy people. It is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than with a contentious woman in a wide house. Contentious can mean three things according to Easword's Webster's Dictionary version. 1. Apt to contend, given to angry debate, quarrelsome, perverse, a continual dropping in a rainy day, and a contentious woman are alike. 2. Relating to contention in law, relating to litigation, having power to decide causes between contending parties as a court contentious jurisdiction. 3. Exciting or adapted to provoke contention or disputes as a contentious subject. So don't live with a girl who wants to fight all the time. I'm sure this can apply to the men too. I know a guy who's always looking for a beating, and he's not the one ending it, let's just say, although he likes to feel as if he won anyway. That goes back to the earlier point. Some people are just always right about everything, and you can never prove them wrong with any material you bring them. Solomon's being serious about this too. Look at this continuity. It is better to dwell in a desert land than with a contentious and fretful woman. And men too. It just so happens he's specifically writing to men in this book. The eyes of the Lord preserve him that hath knowledge, but he overthroweth the words of the treacherous man. Treacherous in the same Webster's Dictionary means by violating allegiance or faith pledged, by betraying a trust, faithlessly, perfidiously, as to surrender a fort to an enemy treacherously, to disclose a secret treacherously. In other words, it can be a snake or a rat. Make no friend with a man that is given to anger, and with a wrathful man thou shalt not go, lest thou learn his ways and get a snare to thy soul. Basically saying, you might learn to be angry with the person who can't control their feelings. He's shooting the script in the easy to read version. Here is Proverbs 23, 6-9. Don't eat with selfish people. Control any desire you have for their finest food. They might tell you to eat and drink all you want, but they don't really mean it. They are the kind of people who are only thinking about the cost. And if you eat their food, you will get sick and be embarrassed. Don't try to teach fools, they will make fun of your wise word. And now we're back in the Revised Version. Be not among wine-bibbers, among gluttonous eaters of flesh, for the drunkard and glutton shall come to poverty, and drowsiness shall clothe a man with rags. For a whore is a deep ditch, and a strange woman is a narrow pit. Yea, she lieth in wait as a robber, and increaseth the treacherous among men. She lieth in wait as a robber, calling her an ambusher who steals from you. Then it's saying she gets men to sin. He that deviseth to do evil, men shall call him a mischievous person. The thought of the foolish is sin, and the scorner is an abomination to men. If thou faint in the day of adversity, thy strength is small. Don't plot bad things against other people. Be not a witness against thy neighbor without cause, and deceive not with thy lips. Say not, I will do so to him as he hath done to me. I will render to the man according to his work. No revenge, people. Leave it to God. And the story arc will be 10 times more favorable. Trust me. I know this from personal experience. Take away the wicked from before the king, and his throne shall be established in righteousness. Bro, straight up said king behavior. Next one is going to be read in the easy to read version. If you want to tell your friends about your own problems, tell them, but don't discuss what someone told you in private. Whoever hears it will lose their respect for you and will never trust you again. And another in the easy to read version. People who promise to give gifts but never give them are like clouds and wind that bring no rain. Now that's just an unfortunate circumstance. And I'll give the genz.bible one last chance, people. Okay, let's see. Proverbs 25:17. Don't be nosy and constantly invade your neighbor's house, or they'll get tired of you and end up hating you. This one's actually normal. Hold up. Let's do one more with this. Let's just see. Proverbs 25:18 through 20. Dude, spreading lies about your homie is like being a total social wrecking ball. A fierce weapon and a sick, piercing arrow. Trusting an unreliable friend when things get tough is as useless as a broken tooth and a twisted ankle. Like, bruh, taking someone's jacket in freezing weather or pouring vinegar on a wound, singing happy tunes to someone who's down is just not cool. This is just a gimmick Bible. I'm done with it, I swear. I thought it had a case. It did have a case for one verse, but then after that, it just went downhill. Now we're in the Revised Version again. He whose spirit is without restraint is like a city that is broken down and hath no wall. A loose cannon is to be avoided. As snow in summer and as rain in harvest, so honor is not seemly for a fool. He that sendeth a message by the hand of a fool cutteth off his own feet, and drinketh in damage. The legs of the lame hang loose. So is a parable in the mouth of fools, as a bag of gems in a heap of stones. Not our version of gems, it's more like the sling in David and Goliath. But, okay, I absolutely butchered this verse. So let's start with me redoing this first part. As the absurdity of the odds of David killing the giant, so is he that giveth honor to a fool. As a thorn that goeth up into the hand of a drunkard, so is the parable in the mouth of fools. As an archer that woundeth all, so is that hireth the fool, and he that hireth them that pass by. As a dog returneth to his vomit, so is a fool that repeateth his folly. Seest thou a man wise in his own conceit? There is more hope of a fool than of him. And this next one's going to be in the easy to read version. Lazy people think they are 7 times smarter than the people who really have good sense. To step between two people arguing is as foolish as going out into the street and grabbing a stray dog by the ears. Anyone who would trick someone and then say, I was only joking, is like a fool who shoots flaming arrows into the air and accidentally kills someone. Without wood, a fire goes out. Without gossip, arguments stop. Charcoal keeps the coals glowing. Wood keeps the fire burning, and troublemakers keep arguments alive. And then back to the Revised Version. A stone is heavy, and the sand weighty, but a fool's vexation is heavier than them both. An irritating person is worse than these. A prudent man seeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple, dumb, pass on and suffer for it. He that blesseth his friend with a loud voice, rising early in the morning, it shall be counted a curse to him. You ever got that one friend that spam calls you at like 4 a.m. thinking it's funny? Yeah, put them in their place. Next one's in the easy. A complaining wife is like water that never stops dripping on a rainy day. Stopping her is like trying to stop the wind or trying to hold oil in your hand. And then back to the revised version. The wicked flee when no man pursueth, but the righteous are bold as a lion. Now, would you rather be coward or a warrior? They that forsake the law praise the wicked, but such as keep the law contend with them. Evil men understand not judgment, but they that seek the Lord understand all things. Whoso keepeth the law is a wise son, but he that is a companion of gluttonous men shameth his father. Whoso causeth the upright to go astray in an evil way, he shall fall himself into his own pit, but the perfect shall inherit good. He that covereth his transgression shall not prosper, but whoso confesseth and forsaketh him shall obtain mercy. Next one's in the ERV, easy to read version. A murderer will never have peace. Don't support such a person. Next one's in the RV. A faithful man shall abound with blessings, but he that maketh haste to be rich shall not be unpunished. He that hath an evil eye hasteth after riches, and knoweth not that want shall come upon him. That's 2 verses in a row about money. It's not bad to want to get a raise or nothing, but in this world we live in, you make more money being a corn star than a chef. It's about how far a person is willing to place themselves in order to get a bag. It's kind of like the people with the clout disease infection. All these people get embarrassed or embarrass others to get million views. Same greedy spirit. He that trusteth in his own heart is a fool, but whoso walketh wisely, he shall be delivered. This context is translated from H4422, which can mean rescued from danger. In the ERV, Proverbs 29:1, some people refuse to bend when someone corrects them. Eventually they will break, and there will be no one to repair the damage. Back to the RV. Whoso loveth wisdom rejoiceth his father, but he that keepeth company with harlots wasteth his substance. And harlots are people who commit sexual immorality freely. A fool uttereth all his anger, but a wise man keepeth it back and stilleth it. Keeping it back and still just means self-controlled and contained. Keepeth it back and stilleth it just means self-controlled and contained. Now, in the easy-to-read version, Proverbs 29:20, there is hope for a fool than for someone who speaks without thinking. Back to the RV. An angry man stirreth up strife, and wrathful man aboundeth in transgression. And transgression is sin, because sin is transgression of the law. 1 John 3:4. An unjust man is an abomination to the righteous, and he that is upright in the way is an abomination to the wicked. It's like kind of what Jesus said. You're either for me or against me. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes to say, where is strong drink? Lest thou drink and forget the law, and pervert the judgment of any that is afflicted. Now look, if there's ever a scene in any Mario game of Princess Peach asking for wine, or beer, or whatever, that's not very ladylike, but you know what? You do you, princess. This next one is going to be read in the easy-to-read version. Speak up for people who cannot speak for themselves. Help people who are in trouble. Stand up for what you know is right, and judge all people fairly. Protect the rights of the poor and those who need help. And ending off this book with Proverbs 31:30-31. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain. But a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her works praise her in the gates. Now we are turning from the baby Mario of wisdom in the Bible to the adult Mario. C-Rock. This is by far the longest part of this whole video. Feel free to escape while you still can now, because this isn't recorded in the anything. And because this is, kind of hard to read, I'm going to say some words differently to make the language more clear. I wish we could throw away all these outdated translations, but I don't know why we settle for less. Like, you don't see me reading Beowulf in the original English. That isn't even legible. But when it comes to Christianity, reading anything sorted after 1950 is shunned. Makes too much sense to share, I guess. Not to say that there's more accurate translations after the KJV, but it would be nice if there were. Anyways, this is all in the KJVA. Accept no person who is against your soul, and let not the reverence your fear of any man cause thee to fall. Basically saying, don't let people push you around. Never speak against the truth, but be humbled by the error of your natural ignorances. Return to the Lord, and put not off from day to day, for suddenly shall the wrath of the Lord come forth, and in thy security thou shalt be destroyed and perish in the day of vengeance. Your friends better be doing this too. This stood out to me. This means return to the Lord daily, every day. Pray, read, fast, whatever. Or your God will get mad at you. You got to put him first in your life. Honor and shame is in the talk, and the tongue of man is his fall. Be not called a gossiper, and lie not in wait with your tongue. For a foul shame is upon the thief, and an evil condemnation upon the gossipers and or hypocrites. She is very unpleasant to the unlearned. He that is without understanding will not remain with her. Now who's her? When you read Solomon's stuff, he usually talks about women as either wisdom or foolishness. In this case, the author is personifying wisdom. The Good News Translation asserts this best. Undisciplined people find wisdom's demands too hard, and don't have enough determination to meet them. Depart from the unjust, and iniquity shall turn away from thee. My son, sow not upon the grounds of unrighteousness, and thou shalt not reap unrighteousness sevenfold. Laugh at no man, and scorn them while they're in the bitterness of their soul. There is one which humbleth and raises up again. Devise not a lie against thy brother, neither do the like to thy friend. Use not to make any manner of lie, for the custom thereof is not good. Humble thyself greatly, for vengeance of the ungodly is fire and worms. Change not a friend for any good by no means, neither a faithful brother for the gold of Ophir. In other words, really valuable goods. Don't sell your friends out. Strive not with a mighty man, lest thou fall into his hands. Don't quarrel with a rich man, lest he overweigh thee. For gold hath destroyed many and perverted the hearts of kings. Argue not with a man that is full of excuses, words, or logical acrobatics, or you will add fuel upon his fire. Don't make fun of a rude man, lest thy ancestors be disgraced. Reproach not a man that turneth from sin, but remember that we are all worthy of punishment. Dishonor not a man in his old age, for even some of us are turning old. Rejoice not over thy greatest enemy being dead, but remember that we die all. Kindle not the coals of a sinner, lest thou be burnt with the flame of his fire. Rise not up in the anger at the presence of a hurtful person, lest he lie in wait to entrap you in your own words. Lend not anything unto him that is mightier than thyself, for if thou give anything to him, count it as lost. Travel not by the way with a bold fellow, because he will become a burden unto thee. For he will do according to his will, and thou shalt perish with him through his folly. Don't fight with an angry man, and go not with him into a solitary place, for violence is as nothing in his sight, and where there is no help he will overthrow thee. Envy not the glory of a sinner, for thou knowest not what shall be his end. Delight not in the thing that the ungodly have pleasure in, but remember they shall not go unpunished unto their grave. Keep thee far from the man that hath power to kill, so shalt thou not doubt the fear of death. And if thou must come near him, make no faults, lest he take away thy life presently. Remember that you're walking in the midst of snares, and thou walkest upon the targeting parts of the city. As near as you can get, guess at thy neighbor, and consult with the wise, lest thy talk be with the wise, and thy communication be about the law of the Most High. And let good men eat and drink with thee, and let thy glorifying be in the fear of the Lord. For the hand of the skilled worker shall be commended, and the wise ruler of the people for his speech. A man of an ill tongue is dangerous in the city, and he that is rash in his talk shall be hated. Bear not hatred to thy neighbor for every wrong, and do nothing at all by hurt pride. Pride is hateful before God and man, and by both doth one commit iniquity, injustice, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit. The kingdom is translated from one people to another. Why is earth and ashes proud? There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man, for such an one setteth his own soul on sale. Because while we liveth, our bodies decay. The physician cutteth off a long disease, and he that is today a king might die tomorrow. For when a man is dead, he shall inherit creeping things, beasts, and worms. The beginning of pride is when one departeth from God, and his heart is turned away from his Maker. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination. And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities, and overthrew them utterly. Wisdom lifteth up the head of him that is of low degree, and maketh him to sit among great men. Commend not a man for his beauty, neither look down a man for his outward appearance. The bee is little among such as fly, but her fruit is the chief of sweet things. Boast not of thy clothing and raiment, and exalt not thyself in the day of honor, for the works of the Lord are wonderful, and his works among men are hidden. Blame not before thou hast examined the truth. Understand first, and then rebuke. Answer not before thou hast heard the cause. Neither interrupt men in the midst of their talk. Strive not in a matter that concerneth thee not, and sit not in judgment with sinners. Now we're getting into whole chapter ranges. There can be no good that comes to someone that is always occupied in evil, nor to him that giveth no relief to the poor. Give to the godly man, and help not a sinner. Do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. Hold back thy bread, and give it not unto him, lest he overmaster thee thereby. For else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all the good thou shalt have done unto him. For the Most High hateth sinners, and will repay vengeance unto the ungodly, and keepeth them against the mighty day of their punishment. Give unto the good, and help not the sinner. A friend cannot be known in prosperity, and an enemy cannot be hidden in adversity. In the prosperity of a man, enemies will be grieved, but in his adversity, even a friend will depart. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. Thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Set him not by thee, lest when he hath overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words, and be pricked therewith. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent, or any such as come nigh wild beast? So one that goeth to a sinner, and is defiled with him in his sins. Who will pity? For a while he will abide with thee, but if thou begin to fall, he will not stay. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first, and thou he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine thee. He will shake his head and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance. There's a lot of points to pull from here, but my personal highlight is don't be surprised if God ain't helping you when you stoop down to a sinner's level. If you got a girlfriend or boyfriend and you going on a date with them and they bring their friend or a friend group, and you're so desperate to people please, you actually sin yourself. You gotta choose your gangs. I ain't gonna be hanging around a bunch of stoners fading up the bathroom in the mall. That ain't a good look. He that toucheth pitch shall be defiled. Therewith, he that hath fellowship with a proud man shall be like unto him. Burden not thyself above thy power, while thou livest, and have no friendship with one that is mightier and richer than thyself. For how agree the kettle and the earthen pot together? For if the one be smitten against the other, it shall be broken. Saying rich people will crush those who are poor. The rich man hath done wrong, and yet he threateneth withal. The poor is wronged, and he must entreat also. If thou be for his profit, he will use thee. But if thou have nothing, he will forsake thee. And if thou have anything, he will live with thee. Yea, he will make thee bear, and will not be sorry for it. If we have need of thee, he will decide thee, and smile upon thee, and put thee in hope. He will speak thee fair, and say, What wantest thou? And he will shame thee by his meats, until he have drawn thee dry twice or thrice, and at the last he will laugh thee to scorn afterward. When he seeth thee, he will forsake thee, and shake his head at thee, saying that guy is going to extract your personal finances just because they may not respect your money. And then once you run out trying to please them, you're going to get dissed. Beware that thou be not deceived, and take care of yourself. If thou be invited of mighty men, reserve thyself, and so much more will he invite you back in. Press thou not upon him, lest thou be repulsed, and stand not too far, or else thou be forgotten. Affect not, try to treat him equal when talking to him, and believe not his many words, for with much communication will he tempt thee, and smiling upon thee will get out thy secrets. But the person who is cruel is someone who will not keep their words to themselves, and will not hesitate to do thee hurt, and to put thee in prison. Observe and take good watch, for thou walkest in a landmine field. When thou hearest these things, awake in thy sleep, love the Lord all thy life, and call upon him for thy salvation. Every beast loveth his like, and every man loveth his neighbor. All flesh consorteth according to kind, and a man will cleave to his, like what fellowship hath the wolf with the lamb? So the sinner with the godly. What agreement is there between a hyena and a dog? And what peace between the rich and the poor? As the wild ass is the lion's prey in the wilderness, so the rich eat up the poor. As the proud hate humility, so doth the rich abhor. Also means extreme hate the poor. A rich man beginning to fall is held up of his friends, but a poor man being down is thrust away by his friends. When a rich man is fallen, he hath many helpers. He speaketh things not to be spoken, and yet men justify him. The poor man slipped, and yet they rebuked him too. He spake wisely, and could have no place. When a rich man speaketh, every man holdeth his tongue, and look what he saith. They extol it to the clouds. But if the poor man speak, they say, what fellow is this? And if he stumble, they will help to overthrow him. Riches are good unto him that hath no sin, and poverty is evil in the mouth of the ungodly. The heart of a man changeth his countenance, whether it be for good or evil, and a merry heart maketh a cheerful countenance. A cheerful countenance is a token of a heart that is in prosperity, and the finding out of parables is a wearisome labor of the mind. He that gathereth by defrauding his own soul gathereth for others, and that shall spend his good righteously. This is saying that if you sell your self-respect to people please, then they will take what you wanted to gain. There is none worse than he that is too proud of himself, and this is a punishment from his wickedness. And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. And the envious man hateth a wicked eye. He turneth away his face, and despiseth men. A greedy man's eye is not satisfied with his portion, and the injustice of the wicked drieth up his soul. A wicked eye won't want to share his bread, and he is stingy at his table. Desire not a multitude of unprofitable children, neither delight in ungodly sons. Though they multiply, rejoice not in them, except the fear of the Lord be with them. Trust not yourself in their life, neither respect their multitude, for one that is just is better than 1,000. And better it is to die without children than to have them that are ungodly. For by one that hath understanding shall the city be replenished, but the kindred of the wicked shall speedily become desolate. Many such things have I seen with mine eyes, and mine ear hath heard greater things than these. In the congregation of the ungodly shall a fire be kindled, and in a rebellious nation wrath is set on fire. He was not pacified toward the old giants, who fell away in the strength of their foolishness. Neither spared he the place where Lot sojourned, but extremely hated them for their pride. He pitied not the people of ruin, who were taken away in their sins, nor the 600,000 footmen who were gathered together in the hardness of their hearts. And if there be one stiff-necked among the people, it is marvel if he escape unpunished. For mercy and wrath are with him. He is mighty to forgive and to pour out displeasure. As his mercy is great, so is his correction also. He judgeth a man according to his works. The sinner shall not escape with his spoils, and make way for every work of mercy, for every man shall find according to his works. The Lord hardened Pharaoh, that he should not know him, that his powerful works might be known to the world. His mercy is manifest to every creature, and he has separated his light from the darkness with an adamant. Don't say to yourself, I will hide myself from the Lord, Shall any remember me from above? I shall not be remembered among so many people. For what is my soul among such an infinite number of creatures? Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens, the deep and the earth, and all that therein is, shall be moved when he shall visit. The mountains also and foundations of the earth shall be shaken with trembling when the Lord looketh upon them. No heart can think upon these things worthily. And who is able to conceive his ways? It is a tempest which no man can see, for most part of his works are hid. Who can declare the works of his justice, or who can endure them? For his covenant is afar off, and the trial of all things is in the end. He that wanteth understanding will think upon vain things, and a foolish man erring imagineth follies. My son, blemish not thy good deeds, neither use uncomfortable words when thou givest anything. Shall not the dew soften in the heat? So is a word better than a gift. Lo, is not a word better than a gift? But both are with a gracious man. A fool will disgrace you rudely, and a gift of the jealous consumeth the eyes. Learn before thou speak, and take care of your health before you get sick. Before judgment examine thyself, and in the day of visitation thou shalt find mercy. Humble thyself before thou be sick, and in the time when you're about to sin, turn back. Let nothing hinder thee from paying a vow in due time, and don't wait until death to be justified. Before thou prayest, prepare thyself, and be not as one that tempteth the Lord. Think upon the wrath that shall be at the end, and the time of vengeance, when he shall turn away his face. When thou hast enough, remember the time of hunger, and when thou art rich, think upon poverty and need. From the morning until the evening, the time is changed, and all things are soon done before the Lord. A wise man will fear in everything, and in the day of sinning he will defend himself, but a fool will not observe time. Every man of understanding knoweth wisdom, and will give praise unto him that found her. They that were understanding in sayings became also wise themselves, and poured forth exquisite parables. Go not after thy lust, but refrain thyself from thine appetites. If thou givest thy soul to desires that are worldly, she will make thee laughingstock to thine enemies that wish evil on thee. Don't take pleasure in much good cheer, neither get broke to the expense of whatever you bought. Be not made a beggar by banqueting, by borrowing, when thou hast nothing in thy purse, for thou shalt lie in wait for thine own life, and be talked on. A laboring man that is given to drunkenness shall not be rich, and he that contemneth small things shall fall by little and little. Wine and women will make men of understanding fall away, and he that cleaveth to harlots will become reckless. Moths and worms shall eat him, and a bold man shall be taken away. He that is hasty to give trust to someone is light-minded, and he that sinneth shall offend against his own soul. Whoso taketh pleasure in wickedness shall be condemned, but he that resisteth pleasures crowneth his life. He that can rule his tongue shall live without strife, and he that hateth babbling shall have less evil. Don't rehearse a conversation to another that which is told to you, and thou shalt never lose anything. Whether it be to a friend or foe, talk not of other men's lives, and unless you would sin, not disclosing, reveal them not. For he heard and observed thee, and when time cometh, he will hate thee. If thou hast heard a secret, let it die with thee, and be bold, it will not burst thee. A fool travelleth with a secret as a woman in labor of a child. As an arrow that sticketh in a man's thigh, so is a word within a fool's belly. Question a friend, maybe he didn't do it, and if he have done it, that he do it no more. Admonish thy friend, it may be he hath not said it, and if he have, that he speak it not again. Admonish a friend, for many times it is a slander, and believe not every tale. There is one that slippeth in his speech, but not from his heart. And who is he that hath not offended with his tongue? Admonish thy neighbor before thou threaten him, and not be angry. Give place to the law of the Most High. The fear of the Lord is the first step to be accepted of him, and wisdom attaineth his love. The knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life, and they that do things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. The fear of the Lord is all wisdom, and in all wisdom is the performance of the law, and the knowledge of his omnipotency. If a servant say to his master, I will not do as it pleaseth he, though afterward he do it, he angereth him that nourisheth him. The knowledge of wickedness is not wisdom, neither at any time the counsel of sinners have prudence. There is a wickedness same as an abomination, and there is a fool in need of wisdom. He that hath small understanding and feareth God is better than one that hath much wisdom and transgresseth the law of the Most High. There is cleverness which is unjust, and there is one that fake themselves to you to make judgment appear. And there is a wise man that justifieth his judgment. There is a wicked man that hangeth down his head sadly, but inwardly he is full of deceit. He hides his appearance, and making as if he heard not. Where he is not known, he will do thee a mischief before thou art aware of it. And if, for in lack of power, he be hindered from sinning, yet when he findeth opportunity, he will do evil. A man may be known by his look, and one that hath understanding by his appearance when thou meetest him. A man's attire and excessive laughter and walk show what he is. When one buildeth and another pulleth down, what profit have they then but labored? When one prayeth and another curseth, whose voice will the Lord hear? My son, lead not a beggar's life, for better it is to die than to beg. Just a repeat of what was said earlier, basically. The children of sinners are abominable children, and they that are constantly in the dwelling of the ungodly. The inheritance of sinners' children shall perish, and their descendants shall have a perpetual reproach. The children will complain of an ungodly father, because they shall be reproached for his sake. Woe be unto you, ungodly men, which have forsaken the law of the Most High God, for if ye increase it, it shall be to your destruction. A man that hideth his foolishness is better than a man that hideth his wisdom. Therefore be shamefaced according to my word. For it is not good to retain all shamefacedness, neither is it altogether approved in everything. Be ashamed of whoredom before father and mother, and of a lie before a princess and a mighty man, of an offense before a judge and ruler, of iniquity before a congregation and people, of unjust dealing before thy partner and friend, and of theft in regard of the place where thou sojournest, and in regard of the truth of God and his covenant, and to be selfish with meat, and of scorning emotions, to give and take, and of silence before them that salute thee, and to look upon a harlot, and to turn away thy face from thy kinsmen, or to take away a portion or a gift, or to gaze upon another man's wife, or to be over busy with his maid, and come not near her bed, or of abusive speeches before friends. And after thou hast given, do not get angry, or of repeating that which thou hast heard, and of revealing secrets. So shalt thou be truly shamefaced and find favor before all men. Be not ashamed to inform the unwise and foolish and the extreme aged person that quarrels with those that are young. Then you will truly be instructed and approved by all men living. Time for some Paul talk. Yay. Romans 16:17. Now I beseech you, brethren, Mark them,
which are causing the divisions and occasions of stumbling, contrary to the doctrine which ye learned, and turn away from them. So everything you've just read, you gotta be the bigger person and just be like, hey, I'm changed now, I'm walking in a new faith, just don't be surprised if I act different. Be not deceived, evil company doth corrupt good manners, bad company corrupts good character. Now we command you, brethren, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye withdraw yourselves from every brother that walketh disorderly, and not after the tradition which they received of us. And then the last verse to conclude this segment, Revelations 22:11. He that is unrighteous, let him do unrighteousness still. And he that is filthy, let him be made filthy still. And he that is righteous, let him do righteousness still. And he that is holy, let him be made holy still. As you heard in part 1, don't be in a worse state because you're trying to control others' lives. If you want to keep someone around, that's on you. But just remember the reasons King Solomon gave to leave some people. Picking and choosing is important in this world. Not when it comes to scriptures, though. Oh, and one last chapter from C-Rock I intentionally saved for this moment so we can transition into the next topic. Every friend saith, I am his friend also. But there is a friend which is only a friend in name. Is it not a grief unto death when a companion and friend is turned to an enemy? O wicked imagination, why were you formed to cover the earth with deceit? There is a companion which rejoiceth in the prosperity of a friend, but in the time of trouble will be against him.
There is a companion which helpeth his friend, just for his belly, and in battle coward against the enemy. Forget not thy friend in thy mind, and be not unmindful of him in time in thy riches. Every counselor praises counsel, but there is some that counsel for himself. Beware of a counselor, and know before what his desires are, for he will counsel for himself, or else he cast the lot against you, and say unto thee, thy way is good. And afterward he stand on the other side to see what shall befall unto you. Consult not with one that looks suspicious, and hide thy counsel from jealous people. Neither consult with a woman about whom she is jealous, neither with a coward in matters of war, nor with a merchant concerning exchange, nor with a buyer on selling, nor with a jealous man of thankfulness, nor with an unmerciful man touching on the topic of kindness, nor with the slothful about any work, nor with an hireling for a year about finishing work, nor with an idle servant about much business. Don't listen to these types in any matter of counsel, but be continually with a godly man, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to the mind, and who will sorrow with thee. And if thou shalt miscarry, and let the counsel of thine own heart stand, for there is no man more faithful unto thee than it. For a man's mind may tell him more than 7 watchmen that sit above in a high tower. And above all this, pray to the Most High that he will direct thy way in truth. Let reason start before every enterprise, and let counsel go before every action. The appearance is a sign of changing of the heart. For a manner of things appear good and evil, life and death, but the tongue ruleth over them continually. There is one that is wise and teacheth many, and yet is unprofitable to himself. There is one that has wisdom in words and is hated. He shall be destitute of all food. For grace is not given him from the Lord, because he is deprived of all wisdom. Another is wise to himself, but the fruits of understanding are commendable in his mouth. A wise man instructeth his people, and the fruits of his understanding fail not. A wise man shall be filled with blessing, and all they that see him shall count him happy. The days of the life of a man may be numbered, but the days of Israel are innumerable. A wise man shall inherit glory among his people, and his name shall be perpetual. My son, test thy soul in thy life, and see what is evil for it, and give not that unto it. For all things that are not profitable for all men, neither hath every soul pleasure in everything. Perfect transition from who to avoid to who to choose. Pay attention to the behavior a real friend should exhibit. A wise man is strong, yea, a man of knowledge increaseth might. For by wise guidance thou shalt make thy war, and in the multitude of counselors there is safety. Deliver them that are carried away unto death, and those that are ready to be slain, see that thou hold back. If thou sayest, behold, we knew not this, doth not he that weigheth the heart consider it? And he that keepeth thy soul, doth not he know it? And shall not he render to every man according to his work? This basically says, if you see evil leading to someone's death, take action. Proverbs 24:26 is really weird, so I'm going to read in the GNB translation. An honest answer is a sign of true friendship. Back in the Revised Version, if thine enemy be hungry, give him bread to eat, and if he be thirsty, give him water to drink. For thou shalt heap coals of fire upon your enemies' heads, and the Lord shall reward you. I changed some of the grammar here a little just to really sink in the importance of loving your neighbor. Better is open rebuke than love that is hidden. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but the kisses of an enemy are profuse. Thine own friend and thy father's friend forsake not, and go not to thy brother's house in the day of thy calamity. Better is a neighbor that is near than a brother far off. Iron sharpeneth iron, so a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend. 2 are better than 1, because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. But woe to him that is alone when he falleth, and hath not another to lift him up. Instead of a friend, become not an enemy, for thereby thou shalt inherit an ill name, shame, and reproach. Even so shall a sinner that hath a double tongue. So if you don't want to be friends with someone, at least be nice to them. Don't be an enemy. I learned that in middle school. I was like, wait, what if I just be nice to my bullies? It worked out really well. A faithful friend is the medicine of life, and they that fear the Lord shall find him. Whoso feareth the Lord shall direct his friendship aright, for as he is, so shall his neighbor be also. My son, gather instruction from thy youth up, so thou shalt find wisdom till thine old age. Despise not the discourse of the wise, but acquaint thyself with their proverbs, for of them thou shalt learn instruction, and how to serve great men with ease. Even if they're old, it's better than being with fools. Blessed is the rich that is found without blemish, and hath not gone after gold. Who is he? And we will call him blessed, for wonderful things hath he done among his people. Who hath been tried thereby and found perfect? Then let him glory. Who might offend, and hath not offended, or done evil, and hath not done it? His goods shall be established, and the congregation shall declare his alms. Not all rich people are bad, y'all. So there we have it. What kinds of people we should surround ourselves with. You're never gonna get perfect in this world, but it's best to find valuable gems among the ruckus. While people are flawed, God is not. If you wish to have summary of this whole video, C-Rock comes in again with a banger. This is a summed up version of the kind of person you should be friends with. And spoiler alert, he's talking about traits God has. C-Rock 51:2-8. For thou art my defender and helper, and hast preserved my body from destruction, and from the snare of the slanderous tongue, and from the lips that forge lies, and has been mine helper against mine adversities, and hast delivered me according to the multitude of thy mercies and greatness of thy name, from the teeth of them that were ready to devour me, and out of the hands of such as sought after my life, and from the manifold afflictions which I had, from the choking of fire on every side, and from the midst of the fire which I kindled not, from the depth of the belly of hell, from an unclean tongue, and from lying words, by an accusation to the king. From an unrighteous tongue my soul drew near, even unto death. My life was near to the hell beneath. They compassed me on every side, and there was no man to help me. I looked for someone to help me, but there was none. Then I thought upon thy mercy, O Lord, and upon thy acts of old, how thou deliverest such as wait for thee, and savest them out of the hands of the enemies. Thank you, and praise God.